Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to National Startup Bootcamp 1.0. This is your third online session. So, without wasting any time, I would like to invite Professor Abhijit Banerjee to start the session. So, please.
Thank you very much. Hello, friends. Welcome to this transformational venture. Today is the third session of this eBootcamp program. The topic that we have selected for today's session is disruptive strategy, innovation, and reinventing business model for survival and growth of startups and MSMEs. The learning objectives are to understand the disruptive strategy, which is the need of the hour, to understand the business model innovations that we have emphasized many times in our earlier sessions. These two are very important topics in present context, and after attending this session, you shall be able to make the right strategy for your business, and you'll be able to innovate your business model in alignment with the strategy, which can help you to cope up with the present threat and to make you fit for the future opportunity. There are some suggested readings for you, which will give you some ideas about the process and the context. Next, please. When smartphone cameras began to proliferate, we made a wild prediction that our neighborhood camera stores would be out of business within a year. But we were wrong. It only took 6 months. Smartphone disruption strikes again. Of course, the point and shoot digital camera is only one of many victims. What about the portable music players, GPS devices, and portable gaming systems? All are down in recent sales numbers. The industry experts predict drastically lower revenue in the future. These industries were high performers even few years ago. Yes, disruption can happen fast, but it need not take you by surprise. Here are 4 ways to stay ahead of the tsunami of disruption that may be coming straight at you. Number 1, evaluate technology, especially outside of your industry. Chances are the very technology that will revolutionize your industry in the future is already doing so in a completely unrelated industry today. I would like to give you the example of electronic typewriter in this context. The electronic typewriter was replaced by computers. Number 2, don't wait for disruption to start nipping at your heels. Be the disruptor, not the disruptee. Always the first mover's advantage is often a key to success when existing a disruptive strategy, when executing a disruptive strategy. So try to be the disruptor, try to be the first mover in the industry, to become the leader of the product or process or whatever innovation you want to bring for future. Watch at your competitors like a hawk. Be ready to match and even surpass innovation actions on the part of competitors. If you can, anticipate competitors' plan and think 5 moves ahead. Number 4, keep a finger on the pulse of your customers. They can be your early warning system, allowing you to react in real time to market changes. Without customer guidance, you will most likely be creating products and services for a market that no longer exists. So these are the 4 ways to stay ahead in this disruptive world. We have to understand that technology is actually shaping the entire market, and we have to be very alert of the situation happening around us. Next slide, please. I would like to suggest you some simple steps to develop to create a disruptive business strategies. First step is keep your lenses on the world. What is happening around you? Adopt a strategic mindset. Always think that self-disruption is not self-destruction. One of the biggest obstacles to execute self-destructive strategies is your mindset. Once you have accepted that it's a part of your job, focus on the developing 4 key abilities that demonstrate your strategic skills. These 4 key abilities are the ability to know from your observations. You observe and seek trends around you. Ability to think. Ask the toughest questions to yourself. Ability to speak, which should sound strategic. Ability to act properly. Make time for thinking and embrace the conflicts. Articulate your strategic questions. This is most important in this process. The strategic questions which the entrepreneurs must answer are of 3 types. What is your business? In technical terms, it's the mission statement. 2, what will be your business in future? That will give you the idea of the changing environment that you are certain about. And 3, what should your business be? So that's the reflection of your vision for future. So these are the basic steps to go ahead in the next step. Next slide, please. Step 2 is aligning innovation and disruption with the market. We often talk about technology innovation. We give emphasis always on the technology innovation, but we should understand that technology innovation is not alone. They should be combined with the business disruption strategies. It should be linked with the market. It should be aligned with the market conditions so that it gains the appropriate result. Identify the types of innovation and predict when they will happen. Harness the disruption and position your business for the new growth. Take the example of Facebook. Recently, they have invested in Reliance Jio 5.7 billion USD to grow in the digital platform in India. We can give you the example of Suzuki. They have tied up with Maruti to enter a new market in India. Take the example of Kidsy. They understood the need of quality preschool education in India. Take the example of OYO, who are the leading aggregating and branding organization for small budget hotels in a highly fragmented Indian market. So learn from these case examples, and try to align your innovation and disruption with market. Next, please. Look at this matrix. Market and the types of innovations are two essential factors to be considered carefully while commercializing your technology innovation. This matrix shows the relationship between different types of innovation and market. Startup entrepreneurs must plot their products in this matrix to develop the business models and right kind of strategies for their organization. We know that the radical innovations gives birth to new industries and evolves, creating revolutionary technology. Take the example of discovery of development of mobile phone. That was a radical innovation. Now the radical, this was radical because that gave birth to a new market, a new completely new technology, and the market was not ready for that. So market was new and the technology was also new. But when that technology developed to a smartphone, that became a disruptive innovation. But the technology was new, but the market was existing. The incremental innovation exists in the existing market and existing technology with some modifications in the technology. So that is not anything new, but you are increasing value to your customers within the existing market and within the existing technology. While we talk about the architectural innovation, the market is new, but the technology is existing. taking lessons from the existing market. You are applying your skills and overall technology to a different market. It is actually reintroduction of proven technology to a new market. This innovation is amazing as long as new market is receptive to your product. So these are the overall concept and relationship between technology, innovation, and market. We can now switch over to the next slide, which is a step 4. Next slide, please. Yeah. Yes, step 3. Discover the customer jobs to be done. Customers are the key to any business. Focus on what causes your customers to buy your products and why. Achieve differentiation. Differentiation strategy is the strategy that makes your product different from your competitor's product. Make your brand equity. Make better margins of your product. We can think of the case examples of Walt Disney Company while expanding the theme park business. They understood the need of the people for such theme park business. Take the example of Tata Nano, which is the most affordable car in India. Take the example of Sony Walkman, which was a new concept at the time of pocket-sized music system, aiming at the young people like you. Take the example of Big Basket or Grofers, which is trying to make easy of cost-effective buying from home. So all these are aiming at giving some adding some value to the customers and giving some comfort to the customers. That is creating a new need for the customers, and customers will be attracted towards that innovation. Next slide, please. The step 4 will emphasize on organizing for innovation. Identify what your organization can do and cannot do. Align your resources, whatever it is with you. Align your processes. You understand the profit formula to develop an innovative culture and position your business for growth. Take the example of Reliance Jio. They're seeking growth through a new product line in alignment with government policy of Digital India, when our Honorable Prime Minister announced it on 15th of August, probably in 2016, in Red Fort. Reliance launched Jio program, just few days after that event, after that announcement, government announcement. So it was in alignment with the government policy, which I recommended to you in my last session, that government in Atmanirbhar Bharat has set some visions. You work on that vision, you build your strategy based on that vision. Now take the example of Amazon, trading in the new world of internet. Take the example of Zoom end-to-end encryption keybase, or IBM Red Hat, or Cisco 1000i, or Facebook give tie-ups, mergers. These mergers and acquisitions took place to bring the strength of the organization, to bring the to expand the market, to penetrate in the new field. So all this is strategic moves. So organize your innovation in that way. Next slide, please. The next step is maintaining a disruptive scope. Build a strong intuition to skate to where profit will be as your industry evolves. Determine which operations are critical to be done in-house and which operations can be outsourced. It's not that everything will be manufactured, everything will be produced at your own place. So that strategic decision you have to take to optimize your resource, to make more and more production, more and more services. Take the example of Uber. They don't own a single cab. They are outsourcing for their app-based cab service in this new age technology regime. Take the example of Swiggy. Restaurants are partnering with them to deliver their foods at our doorsteps. So you have to maintain a disruptive scope also. You have to enlarge the scope of your operations within a limited resource, within these constraints. Next slide, please. Next, I would like to discuss managing the strategy development process, which effectively balances the deliberate and emergent strategy process to unlock innovation within your organization, that determine which type of resource or money that will empower new business ideas to flourish. It's not always money. We talk about money, but there are different other resources that we should explore that can empower you, empower you and your new business ideas. Take the example of Urban Clap. Now it is an urban company. They developed internal strength to provide mobile-based domestic services, mobile domestic services. Take the example of Netflix. That was an evolution of home entertainment. Take the example of Geo itself. They understood the internet consumption during the boom of the digital era. So manage your strategy in this process of development. You understand this process and be alert on that. Next, please. Many times in my earlier sessions, I emphasized on redesigning of the business model under this present scenario. COVID-19 situation is the worst situation in our time. And all the businesses from big to small are in deep trouble now. The small businesses, as I discussed many times, that they are vulnerable to such sensitivity, and their as the risk-taking capacity of the organizations, small organizations, are very less, so they are more vulnerable. So the small businesses have to reinvent their business model through innovation. Now, what is a business model? This business model gives you a framework for finding a systematic way to unlock the long-term value for an organization while delivering value to customers and capturing the value through some strategies, that you are developing over time after understanding the situations. So it is a holistic framework to understand, to design, and to test your business assumptions in the marketplace. There are different dimensions of the business model. Sometimes it is customer segment. You have to ask, who are your customers? Who are your right customers? What is your distribution channel? What is the profit formula? So you have to ask everything to you to understand whether that business model is the right business model for you. And the business model innovation has the power to reshape the entire industry and to redistribute billions of dollars of value. Retail discounters such as Walmart, which entered the market with pioneering business models, now account for 75% of the total valuation of the retail sector. The low-cost airlines grew from a blip on the radar screen to 55% of the market value of all carriers. Fully 11 of the 27 companies born in last century that grew their way into the Fortune 500 companies in past 10 years, they did so through business model innovation. So it's not only the technology innovation, the business strategic disruptive strategy should include the business model innovations. Apple did something far smarter than take a good technology and wrap good technology and wrap it in a snazzy design. It took a good technology and wrapped it in a great business model. Apple's new innovation was to make downloading digital music easy and convenient. To do that, the company built a groundbreaking business model that combined hardware, software, and service. This approach worked like Gillette's famous blade and razor model in reverse. Apple essentially gave away the blades which are low margin iTunes music, to lock in purchase of the razor, which is the high margin iPod. That model defined value in a new way and provided game changing convincing to the customers. Next slide, please. A business model consists of four interlocking elements that taken together create and deliver value. The most important to get right by far is the first, customer value proposition. A successful company is one that has found a way to create value for the customers. That is a way to help customers get an important job done. By the word job, I mean a fundamental problem in a given situation that needs a solution. Once we undertake the job and all its dimensions, including the full process for how to get it done, we can design the offering. The more important the job is to the customer, the lower the level of customer satisfaction with current options for getting the job done. And the better your solution is than existing alternatives at getting the job done. And of course, the lower the price. The greater the customer value proposition, opportunities for creating a customer value proposition are at their most potent. We have found when alternative products and services have not been designed with the real job in mind, you can design an offering that gets that job and only that job done perfectly. We will come back to that point later. Now let us discuss profit formula. Now let us discuss profit formula. The profit formula, we know it's a blueprint that defines how the company creates value for itself while providing value to the customers. It consists of the following elements: revenue model, which we know it's price into volume; cost structure, you should understand direct cost, indirect cost, economies of scale. Cost structure will be predominantly driven by the cost of the key resources required by the business model. The margin model, given the expected volume and cost structure, the contribution needed from each transaction to achieve desired profits. Resource velocity, how fast we need to turn over inventory, fixed assets and other assets, and overall how well we need to utilize resources. This will support our expected volume and achieve our anticipated profits. People often think the term profit formulas and business models are interchangeable, but how you make a profit is only one piece of the model. We have found it most useful to start by setting the price required to deliver the customer value proposition and then work backwards from there to determine what the variable cost and gross margin must be. Tata Nano was the classic example of this. Then determine what the scale and resources velocity needs to be achieved to attain that desired profits. Next is key resources, which are assets like people, technology, product, facility, equipment, channels, brand required to deliver the value proposition to the targeted customer. The focus here is on the key elements that create value for the customer and the company. And the way those elements interact, every company has generic resources that do not create competitive differentiation. Next is key processes. Successful organizations have operational and managerial processes that allow you to deliver value in a way you can successfully repeat and increase in scale. This may include such recurrent tasks as training, development, manufacturing, budgeting, planning, sales, and services. Key processes also include your company's rule, matrices, norms, everything. These four elements form a building block of any business. The customer value proposition and the profit formula define value for the customer and the company respectively. Key resources and the key processes describe how that value will be delivered to both the customers and company. As simple as this framework is seen, its power lies in the complex interdependencies of its parts. Major changes of any of these four elements affect the others and the whole. Successful businesses devise a more or less stable system in which these elements bond to one another in consistent and complementary ways. Next slide, please. As I discussed that small businesses face many difficulties. The small business owners often confront a frustrating question: why it is so difficult to pull off the new growth that business model innovation can bring. The researchers suggest two problems. The first is a lack of definition. Very little formal study has been done into the dynamics and processes of business model development. Second, few organizations understand their existing business model well enough. The premise behind its development, its natural interdependencies, and its strengths and limitations. So, they don't know when they can leverage their core business and when success requires a new business model. I would like to suggest you three simple steps to reinvent your business model. The first is to realize that success starts by not thinking about business models at all. It starts with thinking about the opportunity to satisfy a real business scenario and the customers who needs a job done, as I explained earlier. The second step is to construct a blueprint laying out how your company will fulfill that need a profit. In this model, that plan has 4 elements as explained. The third is to compare that model to your existing business model to see how much you have to change it to a new unit to execute a new model. In order to capture the opportunity. Once you do so, you will know if you can use your existing model and organization or need to separate out a model. Every successful organization is always fulfilling a real customer need with an effective business model, whether that model is explicitly understood or not. So, while to reinvent your business model, you should consider, you should examine all the components of the business model we have examined, we have discussed, and how these business models can be developed further to give you the maximum result. Next, please. Yes, this is very important to understand that disruptive strategy enables you to make innovation a reality. And reinventing your business model sets the language of your business, which is very important. So that was the topic that we decided to discuss. In earlier sessions, we discussed risk, we discussed the impact of COVID-19 on small businesses, and in this session, we discussed the disruptive strategy and reinventing the business model that will help you to survive in this situation and to bring the growth of your small organization. That's all, and thank you very much for attending this session. Handing over to Umang, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, everyone, joining us. We will soon announcing the next session in the group. Please stay updated. Thank you.